With all the Chinese OEMs like Xiaomi, Oppo, and Vivo coming out with some crazy good Ultra phones in the last 2 years, Samsung's Ultra phones with their iterative upgrades don't seem so Ultra anymore in comparison. While this year's Galaxy S25 Ultra also might not seem too different from last year's S24 Ultra, after using this phone for 2 months, I can see some really good reasons why so many Android users still stick to Samsung as their go-to, and why this Ultra phone in particular is arguably the best non-iPhone phone out there. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the really awesome important things about this phone, a few things that might need some improvements, and why this might be a great option as your next phone. So something new about the S25 Ultra is One UI 7.0, and it's actually really nice. I made a whole review about this update that goes more into it, go check that out if you want, but to summarize, 7.0 is the smoothest version of One UI or just a Samsung phone that I've ever experienced. From the touch responsiveness, to the transition effects, to the animations, the whole experience just feels super clean and so much more polished than ever before. There are also some much needed UI changes like the new vertical scrolling app drawer, which is so much more natural considering you swipe up to open it. The search bar is now at the bottom too, which makes so much sense for one-handed usage. It's a lot easier to search for an app like this. Notification grouping actually works now, unlike previous versions of Android, so my notifications menu is a lot cleaner most of the time. The new Now bar is surprisingly a really intuitive new feature. I thought it was just going to be a shameless copy of Apple's Dynamic Island, but it being at the bottom here while being scrollable makes it super easy to use one-handed and actually super useful. The camera app also moved everything down to the bottom so you can reach all the different modes and options much easier with one hand, which seems to be a nice overarching theme of One UI 7. There's even a new revamped filters menu with more tweaks and settings, which I go more in depth in my S25 Ultra photography guide video. But yeah, these new options for filters have been getting me much better photos more easily. And with all the other pre-existing One UI features like all the different multitasking options, modes and routines, and Samsung Pay, One UI offers a more complete Android experience than any other OEM, so it's hard to get away from. On top of all that, Samsung promises 7 years of security and OS updates, which is crazy, and only Google and Apple can compete with that. The improvements to the general One UI experience here is also owed to the powerful new Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset inside. You know how every other year there's a really good Snapdragon chipset that's super efficient, doesn't get hot, and is really powerful? From my experience with it on this phone, this feels like one of those years. Together with the One UI improvements, the experience here feels smooth like butter no matter what you're doing. From multitasking with split screen or picture-in-picture video, to exporting high bitrate 4K projects on CapCut, to high fidelity gaming, the S25 Ultra doesn't seem to struggle at all or have any hiccups. This isn't really much of a surprise for a flagship phone, but really, the experience is one of the least problematic I've ever experienced on an Android phone, with really good thermals, cooling, as well as background apps and RAM management. You'll get all your notifications, very little bugs, and little to no annoying app refreshes. Not only is the chipset really good, I also think a lot of this is due to the excellent software optimization, where One UI and how it runs is really well optimized for my usage patterns. This part really helps with the battery life too, which has been awesome. It did struggle a bit in the beginning first week, but after getting used to my usage patterns, I'm easily getting through any kind of busy or not busy day with 6 to 7 hours of screen on time, which is a lot for my type of heavy usage. For light weekdays where I just go to work, I sometimes go to bed with about 50% left, so I can make it 1.5 to 2 days if I really tried. Even on heavy weekend type of days where I'm using the camera a bunch, this phone still survives till the end of the day where I just need to charge it before going to sleep or leave it on the charger. This is the best battery life I've experienced on a Samsung phone, and it's on par with my experience with the Nothing Phone 2, which was previously the best battery life I've had on a phone before. So yeah, really satisfied with the battery life here. The last awesome thing I want to mention about the S25 Ultra is its display and speakers. This 6.9-inch display is a QHD+ LTPO AMOLED, so it's super sharp with high pixel density, ultra smooth refresh rate, and high brightness levels, capping off at 2600 nits. Samsung is basically the world leader in displays, so it's not really a surprise, but the color tuning has only gotten better over the years. The blacks are ultra inky, the colors look so well tuned with no over or under saturation where they look just right and accurate, and watching 4K full screen YouTube or TV shows is such a nice experience. The stereo speakers are also super impressive, getting ultra loud while being really clear and ambient. The only set of phone speakers that compete or are maybe better than this are the latest iPhones. But the true killer feature to me here is the anti-reflective coating on the front glass here. With way less reflections compared to other phones, the display just looks that much better and brighter since you can see it better. Especially in those black areas where you would usually see your own reflection, yeah, you can't really do that here. I typically use my phone reflection sometimes to check my hair or teeth, but I can't do that here, which is super impressive and maybe kind of annoying. So those were all the really awesome stuff about the S25 Ultra, but there are definitely other things that I think are still good or great, but would have been nice to see some upgrades in these areas. First, let's talk about the cameras. Now, both the camera results and the general camera experience are actually pretty great. The main lens and the 5x periscope telephoto lens capture really sharp photos with a ton of detail and little to no artificial sharpening. The photos look really clean with no noise, and more impressively, this is also true for the digital zoom shots. From 1.5x to 2x, you get some of the cleanest digital zoom shots I've ever seen on a phone. Samsung's post-processing is at the top of the game here, but where it does noticeably fall behind a bit is its 3x telephoto lens. While the 3x optical zoom shots are relatively nice looking, this lens is definitely worse than the main and the 5x telephoto lenses. Makes sense considering that it's got the smallest sensor of the three, and so you also get slightly fuzzier details and flatter images compared to the other lenses. Even though I am satisfied with the main lens here, mostly thanks to Samsung's excellent post-processing, I think we're also due for a sensor upgrade here too. We have Ultra phones from Xiaomi, Oppo, and Vivo playing around with much larger sensors, sometimes even 1-inch sensors for much shallower depth of field, better low light performance, and much more interesting photography elements. Samsung's revamped filters does help a lot with the photography experience and getting better images, but there's no denying that it is starting to fall behind a bit in the camera hardware compared to the other Android competition. For the money we're paying Samsung, and as a leader in this market, I do expect them to step it up here to live up to the Ultra name. I have very similar thoughts about the S25 Ultra's charging speeds, which only tops out at 45 watts. To get a full charge, it takes just about an hour, which is fine, but nowhere near what these other fast charging protocols by Xiaomi and Oppo are achieving with 80 to 120 watts of fast charging. Those phones get a full charge in less than 25 minutes, which actually has a huge impact on how I use my phone. I'm sure Samsung is being careful with adopting this tech for long-term durability and any battery incidents like they had with the infamous Galaxy Note 7, but an upgrade in charging speed is way overdue here. Even though I am really happy with the battery life on this phone, I'm hoping we at least get 65 watts of charging with next year's S26 series. Also, while I'm really happy with One UI 7.0 and the general software experience here, the AI features advertised by Samsung or Google really aren't doing much for me at all. Besides Circle to Search, which I use super often for translating what's on my screen, most of the Galaxy AI and Gemini features just aren't practical in my day-to-day, and I find some of the non-AI solutions to work a lot better and be more efficient with my time and energy. There's a whole page dedicated to Galaxy AI in the settings, but really there's not much to see here besides Circle to Search. If Samsung and Google are going to keep advertising AI as a major selling point for these phones, I personally think they should hold off on the AI marketing until the features actually catch up to the promises. And last but actually the least, I do have nitpicks about the design. So the jet black color with the sleek minimal blocky design actually looks and feels really nice. It's super premium and definitely feels expensive. But one thing I do wish for is a slightly narrower frame. With how big this phone is, the wide width is definitely not helpful with one-hand use. One UI brought all these optimizations to one-hand usage, so I think it's time for the hardware to take that next step too. Okay, so those are my biggest major thoughts about the S25 Ultra. While there are some parts where I wish there were some meaningful new upgrades, as a whole, it's an ultra polished experience that makes it probably the best, well-rounded Android phone out there. It's got robust, smooth software experience, excellent performance with thoughtful optimizations, one of the best battery life performances on a phone, and a killer display and speaker combo. I might have some small complaints and a wish list of upgrades for the next S26 Ultra, but after these last 2 months, I'm now very convinced of why people choose to keep going with Samsung, especially their Ultra line of phones. It's definitely not cheap, but I'm super happy with my time with this phone. Let me know your thoughts about the S25 Ultra down in the comments, and if you agree or disagree with my thoughts here. If you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you can subscribe to the channel. It would help me a ton. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.